today, our owlish opinion is about aging is inevitable. Getting older is an inevitable part of life, but aging is optional. So how do we make our lives better? Because we can't stop nature's way. As we age, it does take a toll on our mind and body, but it's not all cruel. There are positives too. We can't control how we age. Aging is not just a cosmetic concern. It has a profound overall effect. I don't know much about aging yet, but I want to age graciously, not gracefully. I feel sometimes aging is that we physically become weaker. I might have lose muscle mass somewhere. But I also think that we held to different standards to men.
Absolutely. I agree. And I agree with you that physically we obviously deteriorate.
My God, we are deteriorating.
And I think our minds as well, but we can keep our minds active and going. But I agree with you with that. It comes to men. When it comes to men, it's just not the same. They're allowed to actually just age, and nobody really gives them, there's not much of a hard time given to men about aging, right? But women have to be perfect.
They call them silver foxes.
And we can either be cougars or
no, I don't want to be called a cougar.
No, but that's
I want to be called a silver vixen, hence my hair.
Silver vixen. I can work with that.
So if aging is inevitable, why don't we do it joyfully? Because I know I battle with that.
I don't know, Katie. There are times when there are obviously certain things when, there's a little bit of a knee creak or something like that. But I do feel that I have embraced aging. I do feel like I'm joyful about getting older. I embrace my age more now than I have before. I'm very comfortable being 55 almost.
You're nearly there. Well, I don't have a problem aging. Because I don't have a problem with the age. Although I do groan when I have to pick up something or try to get out of my car. I don't know. It's like you can go to the gym all your life and then when you're in your 50s, something happens and you just can't get out of the car. You can't bend quickly enough to pick up something. I think it's just this anti-aging culture that is like such an unknown. I look for women around me or elders to help me through these untangled fears because I think that's where I reach out to my mum because they don't have these aging fears that we do. Why is that? That generation doesn't have these aging fears that we do.
Don't you think maybe it's because they, obviously they didn't grow up in the same era as us. We have to now deal with social media and all of what is portrayed there within that space. And I think there's just a lot of pressure on women to show up in a certain way.
I think they just had the courage to live their truth. We, it's that whole act your age, live your age, or dress your age era. I think that's where we're at.
I really think there's just too much expectation on women. What have you experienced? What are the expectations that you feel are put on you as you age?
Well, I think I blame the scientists because they try to slow down and reverse aging. That some animals don't age at all. They say lobsters continue to remain active and produce. I don't want to be a lobster because I don't know how
I want to come back as a lobster.
Flexible I will. You want to come back? But scientists are just constantly trying to delay this aging. But I personally feel that if we continue to want to live longer, that means we have to work to live longer because none of us, not everyone is a trust fund and has generational wealth and we got to continue. So I think even though animals don't age, they still have to die. So I don't want to live longer. I'd rather live larger. So I think it's really, I want to be able to live my best life, let's just say.
Katie, are you avoiding my question?
I think I did. There is a lot of expectations, and I think it's just judgment is the biggest thing. The biggest thing that we had as we grow mature it's the judgment is that we need to be able to look a certain way. We need to be able to dress a certain way. We can't wear certain things. We can wear certain things. We can't say certain things. We have to be now, be this uppity kind of women where we can't use certain words that we want to
That whole dress your age, act your age culture.
Yeah.
And we have to deal with that all the time.
Yeah. So I do know that I have avoided that question because I feel and I believe that there's a lot of pressure that I am put under, whether it's my family. I remember my dad telling me once, he says, you do know that you're an aunt. And I looked at him and this was like, way back in 2010 when I was on a television show and I think I had a bit of cleavage. Oh, by the way, I do have cleavage, yes.
It's beautiful.
Rest in peace, Dad. But he did say, it's like, don't you think you should dress like an auntie? But he meant more that I have nephews, that are watching me. So yeah. But
so if they're watching, so
I think it was kind of your society does put you under pressure, and your family is the first people that actually start putting you under pressure, and of course the public as well.
So when you say the public, what do you mean?
I mean, I've had people send me, DMs on social media saying, don't you think your dress should be a little bit longer at your age? And I'm like, who'd you, man? But they do, They do. The public, they feel they're entitled to tell you, even though I would, travel to go to a spiritual retreat and wear a hijab and come back and not wear a hijab. They do. They give me a hard time.
No, let me tell you something. It gets
I think
worse.
it's easier with you.
No. I'm a grandmother.
Okay.
Remember. So I'm a level up. I'm a grandmother. So it gets even worse. It's levels of ageism, So no, people also, you have to dress dress the part, look the part, act your age. So the kind of things that I would wear, and I'm not even I think maybe what you mean when you say it's easier for me, maybe you're a little bit more flamboyant, if I could say that. I don't know if that's a good word.
I don't think so. Can we just say colorful? Flamboyance is
sorry, I'm
making
sorry,
me feel like
I'm sorry, like you're out of the
porn
box.
star. So what you're saying is, Len, is that should we search for new identities now? Because now I'm thinking, do I leave that hot girl behind?
No. Absolutely not. That's a no from me.
I mean, when I see the old pictures and I see that slim jawline and the tiny shoulders, I want to say that prayer. That meme that says, "Dear God, if you make me skinny one more time, I promise you I won't disappoint you."
I feel like if you feel comfortable with what you're wearing and if you're okay with it, that's good. I am definitely not changing my identity for anybody.
Look, I do sometimes think I am put under pressure to dress appropriately because I do come from a very cultural community as well. So if I do go to a Muslim funeral or I do go for prayer, I would think I would also, as well as I've also realized one thing. If I know that some of my friends have younger sons, I won't just go there stepping in, with my cleavage showing. I won't do that because I think I have a son as well. And I wouldn't appreciate some hot friend walking in and my poor son is in his 20s and, yeah.
You and I are very different. What do we do? Peas in a podcast? But very different, right? Remember in the beginning, I said to you, I'm not held by, or I don't kind of subscribe to societal rules and norms and traditional stuff and cultural stuff. So I often have these like internal wars with myself when it comes to funerals and things like that, because people will come and you need to wear this, and I will just rock up there in my short dress. That person doesn't know that I'm wearing a short dress. They died.
True. But I think I do choose what I wear and I think I feel more comfortable in there. So in saying all of that, of course, I have realized that growing older and more mature, I feel that I'm experiencing invisible women syndrome. How do you feel about that?
Absolutely. That one I agree with you, Katie. I feel like when not even now, I think much earlier on, they say life begins at 40, but for some reason I feel like after 40 people just don't see you anymore. So all of a sudden you become, have you ever experienced people younger people, and I'm sorry, younger people, but it actually comes from younger people where they kind of act as if you have kind of passed your sell-by dates.
I know.
It's
Sounds
like,
really
when you
bad.
look at a milk carton and it's like
Well, you
expired.
are half a century plus.
Exactly, but still. But then you really become invisible and people don't see you somehow. I don't know if it's just our perception of it or is it real, but it feels real.
But again, men are viewed differently.
Exactly. No, they like good red wine.
Of course, from a profession perspective, even professionally, they're at their zenith.
Yeah.
And we are already having to change our identity from a career perspective because we have to, look at alternative careers or maybe, not be so in your face. You can't even be a salesperson, I would assume, at 50 odd, but a man can.
But then men really become, they age like good red wine and we become mutton dressed as lamb.
Well, men don't age better than women.
But
they're just allowed to age.
No, but that's what I mean.
Yes.
So that is what I mean.
Yeah.
But women, what are we? Mutton dressed as lamb.
Look, aging is a curse, but I think it's become a global problem. I did have people say that mutton dressed as lamb once. But I just read that there was a survey of 2,000 women and most of these women felt that they were invisible to men. So I would think that would actually be also about conversation eventually about dating in our older years. But I would think now you are being visible in for different reasons.
Yeah, absolutely. I think now there's a lot of spotlight on me. All of a sudden, I've kind of been pulled to the foreground. And then again, I wonder, is it just because people are interested in Lynn Forbes or is it she's AK's mom? Now that he's not there anymore, people are all of a sudden much more interested in what I have to say, what I can share. And these are not things that only serve us now. I've always been here with all of this amazingness, right, Katie? You know me for that.
You have always been amazing.
But so I feel like right now I'm less invisible. I really am. There's almost a
But it's not for the
interest.
reasons you want.
Well, that is what I'm wondering about. Is it for me or is it for something else? And often I think it's really not about me. And that really then makes me feel a little bit less valued maybe or less important because I'm not really there for what I want to be there for.
But maybe sometimes you're also overthinking this.
But that's what I was going to say. So I don't know if it's just in my mind or in my head, because I do believe that there are people that really value my opinion, love talking to me. I get DMs all the time of people saying to me, you don't know how much you inspire us every day. And that's a lot. There's actually a huge audience out there that wants to hear from me more.
So you said you inspire people, which means aging is actually a superpower.
Yes, it is.
Right.
Well, that's the way
so
it looks.
we both come from a black and brown culture that treats aging differently to Western cultures. Even in Japan, in most Asian countries, just even in South Africa, we're a society that associates old age with esteem and wisdom. And we tend to put high value on it. So even with my mom, we're from a very matriarchal family, grandmother and mother. And when I love these older women, and I feel that my aunts and my mom and her friends, they want to live their life vicariously through me. But I love being around them because they tell me these old stories that are so powerful and impactful. But they don't see that sometimes. They feel that they are invisible now. But when we give them value, when we give them time, the light shines out of them. So I think for me, the emphasis on the Eastern cultures versus the Western culture is actually something that we need to talk about, because if you look at the West, it's all about the young. The young in the West, they send their parents to retirement. I often think about it. It's not even a conversation I can have with my brother. Sometimes my mom says to me, I think I should be in a retirement home but she thinks of it as though she wants to have a social life. We think about it as, the people or society is going to say that we're giving them away. I don't know about you, because your mom is also still, she's still got her...
She's still around, and she's got a lot of... Chutzpah, that's the word I'm looking for. But, there's a little bit of both on my side. I feel like just listening to you, I think there are certain instances where older people or much more mature people, as you said, where you are listened to and where you feel valued. But I think there's a bit of both in my experience of life, because there's a bit of overlap in terms of our family, our backgrounds, and how older people are seen. I do feel there's often, I feel from the younger generation again, that there's, almost a tendency to say, even verbally say, you guys don't know anything anymore. Things have changed so much. Oh, just because you did it that way, it doesn't mean that that's still applicable. So there's that kind of overlap, I feel, which is maybe a new emerging kind of approach to
as long as
people.
we still stick to just the value system and respecting each other, respecting our values.
That's still there.
And I think that's with my mom as well, because I know that she's a tough cookie, and she thinks she doesn't want to change her mind about certain things. But sometimes the way I bring things out to her, she kind of sees it, or she gives me the respect to see it. She might not agree on it, but she kind of like, okay, fine, I kind of see you, I get you. But yeah, I know that the most important thing is to respect older people.
It's those old values, the old-fashioned values. As long as that's still there, I think that works for me. And then again, also being open again to learn from
the conversations
from the younger people as well.
We've already told the audience how old we are, but do you tell people generally how old you
Absolutely.
are? Do you have that's the whole thing, is never ask a woman her age, or never ask a woman to reveal her age. I realize
I could never understand that.
But I have a serious hoot about women that lie about their age. I have seen your passport, girl. I know how old you are. And it just grinds me when they say they're 5 years younger than they're meant to be.
Exactly. I tell my age easy. I mean, when somebody asks me, I will say, sometimes people don't have to ask me. But you're right. And you look at this person and you're like, you are not that age that you just said.
And age transparency is a superpower. Yeah. It's another.
But why do they lie about it? Why do you think women lie about their age, though?
Well, we should start changing the conversation, because what we've just spoken about earlier on and all the topics that we want to discuss is exactly why women lie about their age, because they don't want to look old. They don't want people to think that they're old. But like I said, age transparency is a superpower. We should see women getting older as thriving, and that's the most. I think we're allowing ourselves to be ignored if we, we just we literally. For me, I believe, and I stand on this ground, is that our experiences about our hair turning gray is associated with getting old. I had somebody on my DM say to me the other day, which pissed me off, is that you're too young to have that color hair. Who the effing hell are you to tell me that I'm too young to have that color hair? But I am loving my unicorn hair, and I'm enjoying this. And I think for me, do not associate the color of my hair
with
to
age.
my age.
You made such a good point, because what we're really talking about then is fear. Women lie about their age because they fear getting older because of all the things we spoke about. And the gray hair thing is such a relevant example, because both you and I have decided to let ourselves go gray, and I'm really struggling. I'm doing the salty, peppery kind of thing, and I'm really impatient, and I wanted to go gray but people constantly ask me, are you serious? Are you really going to do this? Why would you want to be gray? You're going to look so old. You're going to look so this. And I just can't wait for it to be all gray like yours. So it's about overcoming the fear of getting old and to embrace the person that you are at this age.
So if you took a quiz about what do you think your emotional age would be?
Does it have to be younger than what I am?
Well, it doesn't have to be anything.
Okay. Well, I love being this age, but if it had to be, if people look at that as something younger, then I would say in my 30s somewhere, maybe.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, because I enjoyed that age. I really enjoyed being in my 30s.
So is that your favorite age?
Well, I love this age, but if we have to compare to something else, this age is my favorite age. I love being the person I am. But if I had to look before, I didn't really think the 40s was my best. I loved the mid-30s. I love being at that age. I also looked like super cool, like
Hot, you mean, not cool. My favorite age is 53. Yeah. And then my favorite age was 52. Then my favorite age was 51. And then the year before.
But
so
that's what
every
I'm saying.
age for me is my favorite age. Yeah. I don't want to be an ageless beauty. I want to be best I want to be my best at any age.
And this is what I said. So really, right now, this is my absolute favorite age of all time.
Because now we are taking more accountability, more responsibility. We're becoming more empathetic. We are owning our mistake. We are unafraid of being vulnerable. So I think you actually recognize and accept what you need now. And I think that I'm very young at heart.
I think we both are young at heart. No, I read something the other day that said that's actually not a compliment. When people say you don't look your age, it's not a compliment. When people say you're young at heart, it's not a compliment. You are just you.
Yes.
And you are owning it.
Yeah.
And none of the other things, because if you had to say to a younger person, you really don't look your age, you look 50, do you think they're going to like that?
Well, let's be honest, some women do look older than they are.
So why is it a compliment when somebody says to me, you don't look 55 at all, you could be 35. But if I said to a 35-year-old, you don't look your age at all, you could be 55. They would be so offended.
Oh no, they totally would be offended. They'd probably smack you.
Or if I said,
and then
really
you would
old.
make headlines.
You're really old at heart.
Yeah. Cher profoundly says, age is a number. When you open your heart, like I know you do, we are ageless. The spirit hasn't got an age. You are timeless and eternal. Thank you for tuning into Outspoken Owls. We trust that you will come along this journey with us and enjoy our perspective.